Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Adria. Hello, Sherry. Hello, Mari. How are we doing? Whoop, whoop. Just waiting for Amy. I just sent her the link, so I'm waiting for her to log in. However, before we get there, I must say, viewer discretion is advised. The topics discussed in this video are for educational purposes only. Children under the age of 18 should not view this video. Thank you so much. There's your public service announcement. Okay. So I'm just waiting for Amy, and then we're going to go live. We're going to do a thing. Camera, stay in focus, would you? I'm going to get this out of the way because it tends to mess up the focus on the camera. I use it to protect my desk, but, you know. But my desk is cleaner. Excuse me, overall. Oh, here she is.
Hello.
There's her ES.
I have arrived. Hey, Sherry and Mari. Your package went in the mail today, ma'am?
Yes, it did. I drove her to the post office personally.
And Adria's in the house. My homework will pay off. I told you she was getting prepared.
I know. So I got some Temu stuff today. I got my cord for my journals, for my traveler's notebooks.
Nice.
Well, you know, it's nice when you do one to be able to reach over and grab it and actually get it. And this was not that expensive. It was less than $5.
Nice.
And I found some washi stickers. This is 3 packs. I took them out.
You know, I've already forgotten what I ordered the other day through you.
Oh, that's coming in a couple of days. But
it comes that fast?
Yeah.
Like in the old AliExpress days where you hoped it would come in 6 months?
Yeah, no, these come pretty quick. But yeah, this is 3 different packs. There's 4 sheets in each pack. So I got 12 sheets. The only thing I don't like about them is they're the kind you have to cut apart.
Oh,
but they're washi.
Oh, they are washi? Nice.
Yeah. Which it's getting hard to find washi stickers, you know?
Well, everything's pet now.
Yeah.
PET. I'm sorry.
And then I ordered this. I have to be honest with this. I ordered this because I liked the stickers. I didn't realize it was a whole kit.
Really?
Yeah. So when I saw it, it just showed the stickers. But when I opened it, there's a piece of burlap cord in here.
Yeah.
There's a small roll of washi tape.
Yeah.
Not washi tape, double-sided tape. Then there's all of the tags and everything. Okay. And then all the pockets. And this folds up.
Oh, to make a little doodah.
Yeah. So I'm creating a folio that's very similar to this.
You showed it to me the other day.
Yeah. And so.
And she was like, do you like it? And I'm like, I like it.
So I'm thinking this might be, you know, good for inspiration for that.
I got my Carla magazines.
Did you?
I did. So I'm gonna look through them for serial killer stuff and harvest them.
Look, you're gonna love these.
Am I? Am I really? She's over there like, you will love them. Warning, contents are full of sparkle. Oh boy. I may need that for when I do sparkle paper.
And then I also got I got new knee brace.
Oh, did you try it yet?
I haven't tried it on yet because it's too cold in here to pull my pants down.
Likely story. It is too cold in here to pull your pants down.
It's freezing.
I'm gonna give her that one. It's freezing in here. We had the door open all day, and then it started to get dark and it got cold
real quick.
You're like,
And
fine. Oh my God, where's my sweater?
I got a new die, and it cuts these out. Look at this one, Amy. You'll love this.
Is it a ticket?
Yeah, it's like a ticket, but it's like parts of a ticket. And then there's like a big ticket.
And then a tag?
And then there's a bunch of tags. Look at this tiny little baby tag.
Ermagerd,
right? So I got that, and then
okay, I've decided what the thing I need to buy is.
What is it?
A new blade for this cutter.
Okay.
It's too late. It's got to be done.
And then I got a new one of these.
I can't tell what that is.
It says hello.
Oh, hello. Hello.
Hello. And
you need one that says, oh, hi.
I know, right? And then I got some other stickers, and they're washi too. I couldn't believe it.
So you lucked out all the way around?
Yeah, look, I got flowers that were washi instead of PET.
Nice.
And like bushes and branches and stuff. And then I got underneath here, I have a whole set of, these are all washi.
Right. I have to tell you, I want to find some little pink mushrooms, the washi stickers to go in this that I made that I haven't finished yet.
Yeah.
But I want them to be washi and not shiny PET.
I hate that stuff, and almost all stickers now. And then today we went to the dollar store, and I got a trash bucket for my desk.
Oh my God. It's beyond the cute.
It looks like Amy. It's my Amy bucket.
Oh my God. But I walked up and went, monkey! Startling people in the dollar store.
Yeah, it scared the crap out of them.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to cut anything. Wonder if I have an extra blade somewhere.
What color is it?
Blue. It's that aqua color, you know, that kind of teal.
Let me see.
This one. I don't think you do. I think you gave me the last one.
Turn it over upside down under the thing so I can see the bottom of it.
Do you want me to take it off?
Yeah. Let me see.
I didn't realize mine was quite this unhappy.
All right. Try this and see if it fits.
I don't think that'll work.
Just try
it. Goes...
It's a Temu blade.
Oh. I think I have it backwards.
Get your nose out of there.
No, because it doesn't just rest on top.
Doesn't push into the slash.
Let me try up here. I don't think it's gonna, it just kind of, yeah, see?
Not deep enough. Okay.
He's too shallow.
Well, can I offer you a different cutter for the time being?
I guess. I only have the other one I have is that really big one.
Yeah, I have some smaller ones. I'll get you a smaller.
Okay, sorry. Now I have to go through the interminable process of I think I have, oh, there we go. Sorry, ladies. I've never had success with that, Mari. Never, not once. I've tried over and over again to use a piece of foil. To be fair, I am very rough on my cutting blades. I process a lot of paper.
Okay.
A lot.
See if I have one.
Sorry. I feel like... But now I have to go through the process of going through my shopping list on, my previous buys and figuring out which one it is,
Sorry, y'all. I usually keep blades for her cutters and stuff out here, but I don't have any.
Because I forget, and then this is what happens.
Yeah. So let me grab her another cutter. You want that style or?
I don't care. Just not a guillotine. I don't want to injure myself.
Right.
As I'm prone to do,
Yeah.
Apparently, it's my jam.
Can't use that one. Oh crap! Oh, maybe this one. I think this one will work. Hold on.
Back off, puppies. You're not going outside. Not right now.
Okay, thanks.
No. Go lay down.
I'll figure it out. How do I just slide the paper? How does this work?
Yeah. Okay. Get it upside down.
Okay.
Slide paper. Push down on cutter.
You don't get it. I operate my cutter backwards.
Well, then turn it backwards.
I can't even. It's not like I need that right now. Anyway, so on with the show.
Can't believe I don't have a cutter for you.
It's okay. You're not supposed to. I'm supposed to buy my own. I don't know where this one cuts, though. Oh, that's very sharp.
Yes.
It doesn't make any noise. I don't know what to do now.
Hey, Christine.
Oh, my God. I'm in love with your cutter. I want to give it back. Now I'm going to have to make up excuses why I need to use your cutter. It's so smooth. I'd never be able to cut anything on it that needs measurement, though, because I don't get it. I don't get it.
Anyway.
Oh, no, she'll just come in and take it from me. I don't get away with that shit. She just walk right in here and yank it out of my hands while I'm using it.
Actually, when she finds out that the blade for that's $23, she'll be like, I don't want it no more.
It would be worth it. It doesn't make any noise, and it's such a beautiful cut. And the only thing I don't like is it doesn't lift up. I'm so used to lifting the thing.
Yeah. Well, see, I was going to bring you the black one, this one, but it doesn't have the thing, so you have to put the ruler there to hold the paper down.
Oh, that's too many maneuvers for me.
That's too many maneuvers, yeah.
You've met me.
I know you. I know a thing or two,
Just one or two.
Yeah. A couple of your little idiosyncrasies.
Isn't that a beautiful image? This is all courtesy of Carla.
Ooh, I like it.
It's very pretty. It's so smooth, I can't even tell when it's cut. Jesus. I've been using a cutter that's the cheese equivalent of Cheese Whiz. Oh, I didn't quite get that one.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go through my Carla magazines because I can't help myself. See if I can find some fun stuff for the serial killer. We need a little infusion of some new creepy stuff. Don't we? Look, these are all pictures from Minnesota. Hold on, I gotta.
Do they smell cold?
So this one is from a place called Hollow Rock in northern Minnesota. And when it's minus 25 degrees, let's see. When it's that cold up there, there's still open water. When it's not frozen over, there's still like liquid water.
Yeah.
You get a phenomenon called sea smoke. I don't think I want to be there while that's happening. Minus 23, my ass. No.
Yeah, that's not
That's
the
a nobody nope for me. I don't want to give this back. I'm in love with this cutter. Oh my God. So
I have to cut these down so they fit in my box.
Cut what down? Stickers?
Strips of stickers.
Oh, I thought you were going to use decorative scissors so it looked like stamps.
At this point, I'm just trying to get them to the right size. All right. So tonight, in our second half, we're going to be talking about.
So it is the farther one. Sorry.
We're going to be talking about Jack.
The Ripper. Oh, shoot. It's going to take me a minute to figure out exactly how this works.
Amy's been confounded by a cutter.
Shush. You know it's not that hard to confound me.
Wake you up.
Wow. At minus 23, you can throw a pan of warm water and it will turn into vapor. Wow. Now I have new life goals. We need to go to Minnesota and try that.
Nah, let's just go up to Alaska.
No, I don't want to go to Alaska.
Why not?
I have to have a passport for that.
So?
That's like $70, man.
Are you afraid? Are you afraid someone might find you?
I don't want anyone to find me. I'm not afraid of anyone in particular. Okay, maybe there's one or two people I would rather didn't find me. But I don't think they're going to be looking at the passport system to find me. Not that kind of, like, you know.
So you're saying the FBI doesn't want you?
No, just the student loan people.
Oh. And they're constantly sending you crap. They've already found you.
I know, but I haven't answered any of it. So no, they really haven't.
I should start sending that crap back. Return to sender, not at this address.
Well, the only reason they actually found me, and don't feel bad for the student loan people. They are
Relentless.
never going to give up. My friend retired to Mexico and they tracked her down there. She was like, good luck. I'm going to get the tiny word Minnesota. Look.
Did you get a tiny Minnesota?
A tiny Minnesota.
We do have a tiny little Minnesota.
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Hello, Krabby.
Krabby's in the house.
That's better than standing outside. That's
Yeah.
creepy.
Well, you know, it is Krabby.
Mm.
She likes a little creep in her life.
Cool.
Not that guy, but you know, just to be a little creepy.
I like a little creep in my life. That's why I have you around.
Thank you. Say the nicest things.
I know.
I'm cutting this up into. I'm off the screen because I am cutting the word nature into a nice size of ransom letter. I need to get some kind of box system with this that has enough, but it has to also hold giant letters. I need a storage system.
You need these.
I do?
Yeah.
I have some new ransom letters. Okay. Oh no! Now I want a cupcake. What's wrong with you?
I'm cruel.
That's not for the serial killer though. That's more like scraps of joy.
I was thinking footatini.
Oh, well, that's almost over though.
Is it though?
Yeah, because somebody wanted architecture. I tried to get them to vote on Footatini twice.
Hey, doggy. Go away.
That's okay, because I'm going to start a food glue book. Janice L. Oh. I love me some Janice. She's got a good sense of humor. I can't figure out where the blade cuts at. I feel stupid.
Somebody's mad at me. Can you tell?
Is he furry?
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's try. Nope. Let's try that. Those cupcakes look delicious, by the way.
$9, isn't it disgusting?
A sticker should not make you hungry. That's all I'm saying. That should not be possible. It's time to cut my nails. I can't pick things up anymore.
I hate when that happens.
That's why I can't imagine those people with the really, really long nails. Like, how do you even function? Mine get a little, like a quarter of an inch long, and I'm like, I can't pick shit up off the table. I could have sworn I posted earlier that I run a fingernail file down each side of the teeny tiny blade temporarily. Sure, you probably did, but you've met me, Janice. You know my memory is like, you know, like a sieve.
With a hole in it?
Really? A sieve,
What?
by its very nature, is holy.
Yeah, but I was talking about a hole.
I don't want to talk about a hole, okay? Look at that bear. Doesn't he look happy?
Oh, yeah.
I'm cutting that down and putting it together. I'm going to find a place to use that. Stop judging me.
I ain't judging you.
I feel like you might be.
No.
Okay, come in here and show me where exactly this blade is cutting. I am just feeling stupider every second.
Okay, take the picture out.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the little gray bar under the blade there.
Well, I see
Where
it.
the cut line is.
So it's right on the inside of the, like under the green part.
Like right at the green,
Right
at the
at
edge
the
of the
edge.
green.
All right, I'm gonna try it. Because I tried that and I wasn't right. Fine, be that way. I know, aren't they? I don't want to be anywhere near a bear while it's fishing, but aren't they magnificent? I don't want to get eaten, you know?
I'm anti-food.
I don't want to be the food. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just say no. We're awfully quiet today.
I know.
Usually we're all blabbery. We went to the post office and then we went to the dollar store so I can execute my idea for the making the transition between colors easier.
I got a
Then
monkey bucket.
Huh?
I got a monkey bucket.
You got a monkey bucket. I'm not even going to touch that. Monkey bucket. And then we tried to get the car washed.
Because Pepper's nasty.
All that wind and a little bit of rain really did a number on her. I had leaves all over my seat because we leave the windows parted a little bit so it doesn't get...
6:15.
Well, this would be great if my phone didn't just slip underneath a whole pile of stuff. I'm trying to remember why I have that alarm set.
I don't know.
Me either. How helpful is it to have an alarm that you don't know why you have it? Oh, shoot. Dang it. Not quite yet. Gonna be murder time soon. We got to build up to it, you know. We got to have our regular banter, and we had Wiener Schnitzel for dinner. Well, I don't know, kind of late lunch. Linner. I'm sure there will be more food later. You've met us. One meal is never enough. Did you tell them what you're going to use your monkey bucket for?
A trash can.
And then what else? We ran by UPS because Els had a return. Light bulbs lied to her.
Yes, they did.
This is a wild grizzly bear in British Columbia. Taking a break from trying to catch fish in the river. She's over there fucking salmon. Right? All right. So we're going to put him together. And look at how magnificent. And then we'll trim him down from there once. We just got to put some tape on the back. So we'll put this over here. I like the bear. This is all from a Nature Conservancy magazine that Miss Carla sent me. So far, it's been a pretty good score. More cute bear. He's cute from a distance. Cute from a distance.
A distance.
That's what I'm talking about. All right. I maybe should have read this magazine before I started cutting it up. Ooh, that's a nice picture. That is a nice picture right there. Be ashamed if somebody cut it up and put it in a glue book.
What a shame.
I'm just that bitch.
Yeah, I've heard that about you.
I love a good glue book. So yeah, I had 2 corn dogs. I know, not totally good for my diet, but and then I had some plain fries. Mike had chili cheese fries.
Should have seen his little eyes.
Oh my God! Did we tell them about the toddler moment he had over the biscuits and gravy? I think we did. Did we?
Yeah.
He was making some biscuits when I woke up the other day, and I was sleeping on the couch because I'm sorting paper. And it's all over my bed. And I got up to the smell of biscuits, but I couldn't discern what it was because I was stuffy because we have so much freaking pollen. It's ridiculous. So much pollen. And I offered to turn it into biscuits and gravy. And so we ate. Does that look crooked to anybody else?
No.
It's not. Just me. And then I got him a cup of orange juice too. And he came out to the garage. Els and I were out there talking about something. And he totally had a toddler moment.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, I think we have to go the baboons here over the school of tuna.
Yeah.
There's no way you can't do baboons here. What? Are you having a moment?
Yeah. But I'm good now.
Oh my God, I'm seriously never giving you back this cutter.
No.
It's too made of awesome. Mine is like cheese whiz. Hey QB, how's it going? I don't know who is Jack. I'm not taking that up.
I've already made the public service announcement.
What public service announcement?
That we will be discussing adult themes and that it is for educational purposes only.
Oh, that's right. And if you're sensitive to gory stuff, this is not the stream for you.
Nope. Trigger warning. Death, murder, mayhem.
Oh, I didn't read the title of the stream. I see the problem. I didn't read the title of the stream.
Ah. I thought it was subtle.
Featuring Jack. So what you making over there?
Oh, just a big envelope.
Look, this bear is being coy. Oh, I'm taking this phrase blowing hot air though. I got to figure out a way to do that. Let me cut it.
Great. Now my picture's going to be in her glue book.
The coy bear, you're the bear, or are you this monkey?
No, I'm blowing hot air. I've met you.
Oh my God. Well, I did put that one in the other glue book that says about being a poopy head.
Poopy head. It's one of my favorites.
Yay, that's awesome, QB. She gets to start light cardio this month.
Yay!
That's excellent news. I am so happy for you. Yay, 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 yay. I gotta have the koi bear. I gotta have it. I gotta have it. Okay, I get it. If I gotta not have the cutter on the I get it. I got it. Okay, now you're really never getting this cutter back. I'm hiding it right after the live. I can't go back now. I don't care if it is $23 a blade.
Yeah, and I only have 3 blades for it.
That's a terrible, terrible thing.
I know. Okay.
This is so amazing. Like butter.
Yep.
How could you let me use that piece of crap for so long? This is so awesome.
I have given you good cutters. Expensive cutters.
Mm-hmm.
You have that nice big Fisker.
It's so big, I got to stand up to use it.
But it's a replaceable blade. It's like that one where I can sharpen it and put the blade back in it, honey.
It takes up the whole table. I'll use it. I got the thing that slips in the thing that I lost.
The thing that slips in the thing?
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, the thing. I get it.
This silvery thing.
Yeah. The thing.
It fell out and I didn't know what it was and I think I threw it away.
Oh.
After I moved it from place to place to place to place, trying to figure out what it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's
totally a me thing, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I bought a new one. What are you giving me the... I feel you judging me out there.
I would never judge you.
Yes, you would.
Yeah, a little bit.
Don't be telling tales out of school. You totally would judge me. I judged me a little bit on that one. Like if I'd only kept it a week longer, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing but 4 months of bed rest to drive me banana balls.
Woo!
So, I'm sure you are glad to get back to a little bit of activity. Okay, we have, I feel like this could go in the murder book. Right here. But also there's this cute turtle over here. I think we have to go serial killer, right? I think we have to do it.
I'm putting some vellum on this because I don't want it to crack up there because it's very old paper. Bonnie.
Yeah, don't like leap into it. Slow and steady. Be the tortoise. Be the tortoise, not the hare.
Yeah, we like tortoises. Be a tortoise.
Don't be that jackass the hare.
Let's see. What else can I put on here? Because I'm going to give this to Amy, so I want it to be really shooshy, really girly.
I'm gonna kill somebody.
Ooh, how about one of these?
I'm gonna cut off this end. I'm just pretending this isn't happening.
I know.
This is not happening to me. What happened to I'm your friend?
I am your friend. Like it or not, Itch, I'm your bestie.
This is not where I saw myself when I was in my 50s. I just got to tell you. I can't believe I'm going to be 53 this year, you guys. I don't know. I feel like I've aged 10 years since COVID.
I know.
That I'm like, am I not older than 53? How am I only 53?
Well, at least I'm not the oldest person in the house.
You are never going to let that go, are you? Okay, so there is a flight of birds, but I think we got to go lion. Lying around. They brought a dad joke. They brought a dad joke.
Amy told me a joke earlier that was on her computer, so I looked at her and I said, "Do you know when a joke becomes a dad joke?"
Oh.
And she goes, "No." I said, "When it becomes apparent."
Marshall's had the leg roller for only $10. Nice. That is a good deal. So not a lot of this has to do with the serial killer, but I do love a good magazine harvest.
All right. So I'm going to go away for a few minutes.
You're going to leave me here alone when I got nothing to talk about?
Yeah.
You are not nice.
Never claimed I was.
That's true. That's true. That's a true story right there.
I really like this so far.
What is it? Like, I know you just told me, but I wasn't listening.
It's just an envelope.
With roundy edges and stuff?
Yeah.
Does it have gussets?
No gussets.
Should have gussets. Should be beefy.
I'm going to beefy you.
Promises, promises.
All right, ladies, I am leaving you to the hag while I run away.
You see, she's abusing you right now. It's happening.
Oh, look, I must not be on the crap list anymore.
Aw, he thinks you're going to give him treats because you're on the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, look at that. Flowers and flowers. I like it. But we're going to have to cut it. I'm going to cut a flower. And the phone's ringing out there. Oh, she left me on the big screen even. It's Lent, so favorite meat dish. Ground beef steak with mushroom gravy. Ooh. That sounds awesome, Janice. Num num nums. Are we giving up stuff for Lent? Who's giving up stuff for Lent? And when is Lent? I know it's always around Easter, but I'm not even 100% sure when that is this year. It moves so much. We may use these flowers in the serial killer. I like to pair flowers with dead girls. Okay. Okay. I think we'll go ahead and take this one. We're going to cut it down a little bit though. Reminds me to buy black jelly bean stat. You're hungry for SOS? It started February 14th. Oh, well, I missed that. I do it every few years just to see if I can. That's how I gave up soda, actually. And fast food. It helps if there's a lot of other people giving up stuff at the same time, you know? Just saying. Okay, so over here we have, I don't know what that is. An alpine newt feasts on frogs' eggs in a German wetland. This photo was made by sinking the camera housing underwater and remotely triggering the shutter. Huh. All right, well, we got to pick a side, ladies. Balloon or newt eating frog eggs. There he is right there. There's the newt. Just chowing down. That's the newt. He's eating you usually give up. Hey, I've given that up. Like, there's no point. That's like a gimme, you know? I'm going to cut the edge off either way. The edge has to come off. And we'll cut some of the black part off to make it smaller. So we can actually cut it down to there, I think. My husband, my sister-in-law both like black jelly beans. You're just the buyer. Janice is a jelly bean dealer. We just knew there was something a little shady about Janice. Carla shared her bus story a bit ago. You got a proposal on a bus, Queen Bee? I rode the bus for years and years. I have never been proposed to on the bus. As a matter of fact, only one time did a guy even ask me for my phone number. Guess I'm not cute enough. All right, there we go. Oh, look, it's a little bird, and then there's giant feet. It's kind of fun. I'm going to keep that. I like that one. I like it. Maybe I'm crazy like Willy Wonka. Maybe. Could be. I had a guy sneak his phone number into my bag on the train. Ew. It's supposed to be your meet cute, but, you know, creepy. You know, you start out stalkery. That's kind of not okay. Okay. Oh, look at that. That's very pretty. I do like, let's see. So that's a gray heron here. And a teal volcano eruption in the tall volcano eruption in early 2020. So this female paper nautilus hitchhikes on debris floating through the water column. The particles around it reflect the photographer's flashlight, resembling falling snowflakes. That is a nice picture. I kind of like it. Okay, so there's two sides to this other one, so we'll keep that side. And we'll, I kind of dig the paper nautilus. I think it's cool. I likes it. I likes it a lot. She went outside to smoke. She'll be back, and then she's going to do the jack thing. She always takes a break in the middle somewhere. Sorry. It is a little gray face. It's a paper nautilus. That's the eye. There's the shell. looks like an eye because it's an eye. Hey, Michelle, how you doing? Yeah, she'll be right back. She just, she's on her breaky break. Her and Mike sit out there and they talk for a minute. It helps her group her thoughts together, So I like that. I think that'll be cute and something. I can always cut it down a little bit smaller if I want to. Okay. So that is a nice one. That is the male lesser prairie chicken. Oh, okay. So we got to get over here. What do we have? Outdoor lights create a halo for the Costa Rican hourglass tree frog. But I'm going to keep this picture. I'm just going to cut the edges off it. I think that's nice. But on this page is a male lesser prairie chicken in western Kansas performing a mating dance. Third place. A woman at a motel along the northern shore of Lake Superior startled by a severe lightning storm. Bottom. Highly technical macro photo shows the female wolf spider can carry more than 100 babies on her back at a time. The middle of the pathway on a summer morning. And I think the look on her face is like, I'm hauling around 100 babies.
I'm home.
Oh no, it's back. Shh, quit talking about her.
Yeah, don't talk about me. Okay. I'm back. And I'm back, so we know what that means, right? It's time for Jack.
All right, lay it on us. This is Elle's shining moment. The Ripper is her favorite.
Okay. So
Like
we're going to break this. She's loving that thing.
I am in love with this cutter.
We're going to break this down into parts and pieces. So we're going to start with the victim. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. You done napping? What happened? Did the electric blanket shut off?
You spoiled him with an electric blanket. Oh my God. Isn't that pretty?
All right, go away. Go away, G.
Oh, but look on the other side.
I'm going to put you outside with Daddy. Come on.
Oh.
Go outside with Daddy. Okay. All right, so I figured we would start with, let's start at the beginning, shall we?
Okay, hold on for 1 second.
Yes.
We have to vote. Okay, do we want to keep the prairie chicken and the wolf spider, who is magnificent, or do we want to keep the jellyfish and the night sky with the snow and stuff?
We need the spider.
I feel like I need the spider too. Look at the look on the spider's face.
We need the spider.
Spider.
Janice likes the black and white, though.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to keep it whole, and we'll go make a photocopy of one side.
Okay.
If you will indulge me.
We can do that tomorrow when we go to the post office.
Sounds like a plan. I think I have one other thing I need to do that with, so I'll dig it up.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. Continue with your Jack.
No problem. All right, so between April 1888 and February 1891, there were 11 women who were murdered in the East End of London. And officially, the file is labeled the Whitechapel Murders. Not Jack the Ripper or anything. It is officially the Whitechapel Murders. 5 of them are what? Huh?
Say hello to Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. I hope you're feeling a little better, honey. Okay, so 5 of them are what is referred to as the conical 5. Okay, and I know conical has multiple meanings, but in this case, it means that these are the main 5 victims. Okay, a 9-week period for these ladies, for these 5 women, between the end of August and like the beginning of November. So not a great time. These 5 women are buried in 4 separate cemeteries. And because they were basically buried as paupers, their graves were reused multiple times. And so their actual graves are no longer known. However, some cemeteries, specifically the City of London Cemetery, does have a marker where they believe it's possible where the first victim, Mary Nichols, where she may have been laid to rest originally. They have a marker there for her. But that wasn't put in until over 100 years after the murders in the 90s, mid to late 90s. So
probably not her grave.
Probably not.
But they wanted to honor her, so they put up a...
Right. Now, contrary to popular belief, they say that the 5 conical victims were all prostitutes. But they weren't. At least they were not prostituting at that time. Now, these women did have some things in common. Most common, the one that glares is that they were all frequent customers at a bar called the 10 Bells. Keeping in mind that back then, water was not clean. So, people, they drank distilled water, which means alcohol. So they would either drink.
That's why ale is so, it had a low alcohol content. So it was like just zhuzhed up water, essentially.
Right. But because it was processed, cholera and other types of bacteria that were often found in the water there at that time were not present. So because it was processed, it was heat processed. They didn't think to just boil the water.
So a lot of people would have went to pubs, whether they were prostitutes or not, because there's a way to get your ale.
Right. And
which was likely the only thing you drank.
Right. And upper crust people, they drank mostly wine, coffee, tea. But back then, tea was expensive. It was cost prohibitive for poor people to drink a cup of tea. And on top of it, do you actually have a kettle to cook the water in? If you were the type of person that lived in the East End of London, you probably didn't have a regular set residence.
You were renting rooms by the night or by the week or whatever.
Well, they didn't even rent rooms. A lot of people that owned property there, for like a pence or 2 pence, you could sleep in what they called a leaner, which is where they basically took, they stood you up against a wall with a rope in front of you.
Oh.
So you could, if you fell asleep standing against the wall,
you wouldn't fall over.
You wouldn't fall over. You could lean into the rope. So a lot of people leaned on the rope. Therefore, they called them leaners. And that was like a pence or 2 pence a night. So, and then a lot of other places, they didn't really even have beds. What they had were just blankets on the floor. They'd have like one room and they would just throw a bunch of hay down, and you would go in and pay 2, 3, 4 pence, whatever it was that, at that time. And they would give you a dirty blanket that you would throw on the floor someplace and lay down and sleep. And people used to huddle together to stay warm. But the first stroke of sun in the morning, you were out. And so you couldn't even go in until like 10, 11 o'clock at night. So it's already dark. it's already considered late night, but you had to be out at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. So you really only got 4 or 5 hours of sleep. They were infested with bed bugs, fleas, scabies, all kinds of mites and things like that. But that was how those people that owned those buildings made their money. You know, and they, more often than not, they were paying the landlord too. So
that was just common conditions, Adria. It wouldn't have been a big deal back then. That would have been considered relatively normal for poor people.
Yeah, that was considered the norm. So let's talk about the first victim, and that is Marianne Nichols. It was the 31st of August, 1888, sorry, where she was found in a gateway in Bucks Row in Whitechapel. Now, understanding the way that Whitechapel was at the time. Now, there's been construction, so some of these things have disappeared, but there are still, you can still walk the chapel walk. You can still, 10 Bells is still there. It's been remodeled and revamped, but it's still 10 Bells. And a lot of the walking tours of the East End where they do the Ripper tours start there because it is so entrenched in the history and the lore. So Bucks Row was basically that. It wasn't really a street so much as it was sort of an alley. With
yes, they do Queen Bee, but not. It's not. What's the word I want? It's not rampant. Everybody doesn't have it. Yes, you could still have bed bugs and all that other stuff,
right?
But they're not everywhere in everybody's house. It's not commonplace. That's the word I was looking for.
Right. So Marianne Nichols was more commonly known as Polly to her friends. So a lot of people confuse her.
So they think there's more victims than there are?
Right. So the thing is that she didn't start out doing casual prostitution. She started out as a married woman with 5 kids.
So what happened to her kids?
She separated from her husband. He kept the kids, and she left because she was an alcoholic. And he did not want that.
Right, right.
Because she wasn't pulling her weight. So when the kids, the oldest kid was old enough, which could have been 8 or 9 at the time.
Right.
She left.
Well, it was untenable for her. It was untenable for him.
Right. So she would go to what they called common lodging houses. These are the places where they'd have the leans, where you could sleep on the floor. Some of them even had beds, but it wasn't like a single room. It was like a dormitory type room.
But it would have been women in one and men in another, not mixed company.
No. Women, men, and children all in the same room.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So lodging in one of these types of places was usually about 4 pence. She didn't have 4 pence that night. So she didn't get to sleep in the lodging house. So as she was walking away, she had made a comment that she would be back.
Basically, she's going to go out and make the money.
Well, when she left, she said she'd be back, and that she was sure to get the 4 pence because she had a jolly new bonnet. And she did. She had a brand new bonnet, which was an extravagant thing for back in the day. At that time, for somebody who lived in the East End.
Should have paid her some rent with that instead of buying a bonnet.
Well, that's the question. Did she actually buy the bonnet, or did somebody buy the bonnet for her?
Okay.
Yeah, that's the question. So she left, and in those days, they called them unfortunates. So it was very common for the unfortunates to engage in casual prostitution for the purposes of getting a bed for the night, or to eat, or to drink, whatever her needs were.
Right.
So she left because she didn't have the money to stay, and that they wouldn't give her a room for the, a bed for the night.
Right.
So she was out. So at 2:30 in the morning, a friend of hers met her by a shop at Whitechapel, and I want to say Osborne. She was drunk, and she said that she had made her lodging money, but that she had spent it.
Oh.
So her friend tried to get her to come back with her to a different lodging hall, but she said no. She had to go get her own money somehow, and she stumbled off down Whitechapel. That was the last time anybody saw her alive. So it was about 3:33, between 3:30 and 4 o'clock in the morning. Her body was found laying next to the gateway of Bucks Row. It's right off of Whitechapel Road. You can still go and see Whitechapel Road. Now, here's the thing. Bucks Road isn't there anymore, but the sign is.
Ooh, that's cool. It's a road, but it's.
So her neck was cut all the way back to her spine.
Holy yeah. I remember, I know the details, but every time I hear it, it's like, because that takes a lot of, that's just brute force.
So, yeah, I mean, that's that. And it was a single clean cut. That's the thing. That is a lot of strength because you've got a lot of tendons and things in the neck.
Plus, she might have still been alive. Were they able? Did they at that time? At that
time, they really couldn't tell.
I didn't think so, but it was worth asking.
But when you look at the wounds that she had, she was probably alive. The slitting of the throat was probably the method of death.
So she was alive while so that's even harder. That's some strength it takes.
Yeah.
Not only for cutting the throat, cutting it to the bone in the back, and wrangling a person who's still living. That's a lot of strength.
Yeah. So
samurai sword.
Samurai sword. Love it. All right. So
anime serial killer,
Now they took her to the quote mortuary. Explaining a mortuary. First off, they took her by ambulance, which was really just a hand cart. And there's a guy who gets called by the police from, they basically send a runner to the workhouse, the local workhouse, which is where the mortuary is. And they say, hey, send us a cart. We got a body. And then one of the guys that works there will run over with a hand cart. They toss the body on it. They may or may not throw a blanket over it. And they take them back to the mortuary. The mortuary. At that point, the body's examined. So she goes to the Whitechapel Workhouse Infirmary. Inspector Spratling of the Metropolitan Police Division takes down a description of what was known, what they found of the at that point unknown victim. And he makes a discovery. In addition to the wound on the neck, there is a gash from the breastplate to the pubis bone. And this woman has been disemboweled.
Now that probably happened after she died, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, go ahead.
Because cutting her neck would have probably happened first. Yeah.
So then they have to identify the body. So they have to figure out, you know, who she could be. And this kind of stuff traveled pretty quick. So, you know, her friend from the night before probably heard that somebody had been murdered on Whitechapel.
And she knew that her friend didn't come back.
She knew that her friend didn't come back. So she went down to the workhouse and said, hey, I'm looking for my friend. That might be her. Well, give us a description. And she tells him, you know, she's got on a blue bonnet and a red shawl. And okay, yeah, this could be her. She's got dark hair, whatever. So they go then and they get her name from that woman, and then they go and they try and locate the family. And this isn't like what's the last known address. This is like literally having to go out and beat the streets. So it took them a while to find her father and her oldest son, who came down and identified her as being Marianne Nichols. So they didn't bother. They don't bother to clean the bodies. They don't bother to do, you know, anything. They did take photographs at the time, and these photos are available online. And they basically just show the faces and, you know, some of the upper body, perhaps. Obviously, the last victim, there's no photo.
Well, that was just a big gory mess.
Yeah.
That victim wasn't even recognizably human, right?
Right. So for her, because of all of the understanding that technically she's not the first victim. She is actually the 7th victim.
She's just the first one that they
accept fully as being a Ripper victim. Okay, and I'll tell you why there's so many other victims, but why there's a kind of a conflict to it.
She's building up tension.
They had to sneak her body out of the morgue. And I do have a newspaper clipping for the funeral. The time with the cortege was kept secret, and a ruse was resorted to in order to get the body out of the mortuary where it had lain since the day of the murder. A pair-horsed closed hearse was observed making its way down Hanbury Street, and the crowds, which numbered some thousands, made way for it to go along the old Monteau Street. Instead of doing so, it passed on into Whitechapel Road and doubled back, and it reaches the mortuary by the back gate, which is on Chapman Court. No person was near other than the undertaker and his men when the coffin, which bore a pale inscription, Marianne Nichols, age 42, died August 31st, 1888, was removed to the hearse, driven off to Hanbury Street, there to wait the mourners. So at that point, word had spread that the hearse had gone to the back of the morgue, and now there were more people that were coming out to see the coffin. The father of the deceased, his grandson, who went to identify the body with 2 other of her children, went down past Bucks Row into the main road, and there were policemen that were stationed every couple of yards to kind of keep it, you know.
Yeah.
And then all of the houses along the route closed their blinds in respect to give privacy to the family, and sympathy. You know, that's a thing in England, so that you don't feel like you're being looked at. You know. And they took her down and they buried her. So now this is the coincidence. 2 days later, remember, she was taken out of the mortuary and brought on to Chapman Court.
Right.
The next victim,
It's named Chapman.
is Annie Chapman. Her nickname was Dark Annie because she had dark hair. She always wore dark clothes. She was just sort of the Black Dahlia of her day. Again, she was married but left her husband and her kids due to alcoholism.
Seems to be a common theme.
Yep. Now, but here's the difference. Her ex-husband, she was still married to him.
Mm-hmm.
He would periodically send her money.
So he still cared about her
Yeah,
in some fashion.
he did. He loved her. He admitted that fully. He loved her. He cared about her. He just could not have her around the kids.
Right.
He was a very God-fearing man
Okay.
in his day. So, but he would send her an allowance, and she would supplement that. She would sell matches, crocheted work. She would sell flowers on the street. And when she needed to, she'd resort to prostitution, but it was not her main income. But like her husband made sure she always had clothing, and that when she needed it, he would give her money.
Right.
And then gave her a weekly allowance. So she was living on and off at an actual lodging house. She was apparently very well liked by the people she lived with. People always said she was nice. And, you know, even the guy that was like the landlord there said that she was a nice woman, but that she was, when she would get drunk.
Right.
And she was often drunk.
It wasn't sweet for women back then, Queen Bee. I'm sure it was stress and you know, there were a lot of inequities in being a woman at that time.
Yes.
So I believe it's the stress of just being a woman sometimes. Or and it could have run in her family too. Alcoholism is, you know,
Again,
they didn't know that it was driven in families.
back
then.
again, we'll go back to, it was the only safe thing to drink. And some people are just more prone to it. To not being, you know, there's some people that can have a glass of wine with dinner and that's fine. And if they never have another glass of wine, that's fine.
And some people just won't get enough.
Yeah, there's some people that just can't.
And it could have been some combination of, you know, being a woman and just being prone to it.
Yeah.
I wonder though if that's a theme in all of the cases, but we might not know it, you know.
What, alcoholism?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all drunks.
Okay, so that's part of his draw to them then, probably.
Probably.
But do you think it was convenience because a drunk victim is probably easier to handle? Or do you think it
Yeah.
was targeting them because they were drunks?
I think that a drunk victim is easier to handle. So in the evening, Friday, the 7th of September. She, again, met with a friend. She looked very unwell, according to her friend, and complained of feeling too ill to do anything. Basically, she had gotten into a fight the night before at her lodging house with a new person. She had a black eye. She had bruises on her chest and her face and her head from the fight. And she wasn't feeling well. She was in a lot of pain. And, you know, then again, she's in pain, so she's going to go numb the pain. A lot of them, too, they had to sleep rough on the street. So getting drunk kept them warm.
Even though it didn't really keep them warm.
Right. But it made them feel warm.
Right.
So you know, she told her friend, she goes, you know, I don't feel good, but she had to go and get her money for her lodging. And that's pretty much what she said. And then she kind of toddled off. At about 11:30 that night, she turned up at the lodging house and asked if she could sit in the kitchen. Since the landlord hadn't seen her in a few days, he asked where she'd been, and she had told him that she had been in the infirmary, which would have put her in the infirmary at the Whitechapel workhouse. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So
Janice got a point. Also, make it, you know, having a lot of babies is
yeah,
not terribly fun. Sure, the making them's fun, but you know, actually giving birth to them, that's a thing. Could be a factor in the alcoholism.
so she went and she was, you know, he let her sit in the kitchen, and she sat in the kitchen, and, you know, after a while, she had to pay for the space. There's nothing he can do, you know. He has to pay the landlord. So, you know, he sends somebody to go collect the money. She's like, I don't have it. Please let me stay. I was at the infirmary. I'm sick. And the night landlord, you know, the night watchman guy there, he told her, he says, you know, as much as I'd like to let you, I can't. If the landlord gets wind of it, I lose my job.
Right.
And then I don't have a place to live. So she, you know, as she walked out the door, she told him, I'll be back. Don't let my bed. I'm going to come back for it, you know. He walked her out the door and watched her walk down Dorset Street. And, you know, little bit later, a couple hours later, she was found. She was seen talking to a man, which is where they got the first description. Another resident saw her 30 minutes after that, laying on the ground, totally mutilated. And again, you know, the first person to come and say, hey, is the friend who saw her, because now her friend is missing. They track down his family, and they find her brother or sister, something like that came and identified her. They, again, great secrecy, trying to hide the fact that the funeral was going, to keep crowds of onlookers and turning it into a spectacle. But again, her body, once she was found, was taken to the Whitechapel Workhouse Infirmary. Okay. Mother was a prostitute herself. Well, B, that was actually a theory. That was a theory. We'll get into theories, just not today. Today, we're just going to talk about the actual 5 conical victims.
Can I say something about what Queen Bee said?
Yeah.
Queen Bee, it's unlikely that his mother was a prostitute as a specific motive, just taking everything out of the factor. I would think it would be more likely that his mother was an alcoholic and or an absentee mother. Because being a prostitute is only a small part of what she's talking about. They weren't just prostitutes. Some of them only resorted to that as a last ditch effort to get money for lodging or food. So I don't think that it was because they were prostitutes. I think it's because they were alcoholics, and being not great mothers could have been part of it. But like Elle said, we're not getting to theories yet. I think don't focus so much on the prostitute part. That's my say.
Yeah. So our next victim is Elizabeth Stride. Now, she's not English. She was Swedish. She emigrated to England. I don't know, like in the 1860s.
Okay.
She got married,
Yeah.
and she and her husband, Nina, she and her husband opened like a little coffee shop. And, everything was great. But then in like the late 1870s, they separated. She started going to common lodging houses, and she became involved with another man. She started drinking heavily. She was constantly in and out of the workhouse. And a workhouse is sort of like a prison. When you have a debt or a fine that you need to pay, you go and you live in the workhouse to pay your debt off.
Right. You don't get to leave.
Right.
You're not volunteering for that. It's usually court ordered.
Right. So for a long time, for many years prior to her death, she had actually stayed in a lodging house, a common lodging house, down at Flower and Dean, something like that. But just before she died, she turned back up there. She had been gone for a long time, but she turned back up. So she spent the day cleaning 2 rooms, and that was how she was making her money to stay. And she went to the Queen's Head pub, which is down the street from 10 Bells.
Shoot.
And she, had a couple of drinks and whatnot. Then she went back to the lodging house, got dressed for the night, and left. Some people saw her over the next couple of hours. And she ended up off of Burner Street. Now, this one is one of the few that they think somebody actually saw Jack in the act of killing her. It was a man by the name of Israel Schwartz. He says he saw a woman being attacked off of Burner Street. However, he thought it was a domestic violence thing, like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. And he didn't want to get caught in it. So he crossed the streets. So then another guy who was a steward for a club there, he came down the street with the horse and went to turn into Burner Street, and the horse wouldn't go. It just refused to go. So he gets out to find out what's wrong with the horse and finds the body. She's on the ground. He thought it might be his wife or somebody that he knew. So he went into the club to get somebody to come out and help him lift her and move her out of the way. but she was in the kitchen. So they went back outside, and they saw the blood beginning to gather, and they realized this woman was dead. They called for the police, and the doctor was summoned. Again, this is the doctor from the Whitechapel Infirmary. Okay? So her throat had been cut. However, she had not been mutilated.
So she was interrupted probably in the whole process.
Right. So this was probably interrupted. They identified her as Elizabeth Stride.
Mm-hmm.
And again, she was taken out. But this time, they didn't give her the same write up in the papers and stuff.
Right.
And the parish paid for her internment. They paid for her funeral. Then the next victim, Catherine Eddowes, 14th of April. She was an orphan by the time she was 13, 14 years old. She went to go live with an aunt. Her siblings went someplace else. She met a soldier. She claimed that that was her husband, but nobody could ever find a record of it. They had 3 kids. And they sold like little books on the street, these little printed books.
Okay.
They moved to London and they separated. She was drinking heavily.
So drinking is definitely
Yeah. Now they would split up and get back together, and split up and get back together, and split up and get back together.
but it was always the drinking.
But she would drink, and she drank to numb the pain because he was abusive.
Oh, okay.
Her sister said that she constantly had black eyes and swollen cheeks from being hit by him.
Doesn't sound like a healthy relationship.
No. So at this point, she met a guy in the boarding house. His name was John Kelly. He was a casual laborer. And they lived together at that lodging house until her death in 1888. I don't know why I keep saying 1988. It's 1888. According to the proprietor of the lodging house, he said she was a very jolly woman who was often singing. So it was not uncommon, in addition to common houses and boarding houses and liens, for people to get a room at a workhouse. You could go to the workhouse and get a room, and you could get out immediately after. Of course, while you were there, they preached at you and you know, but you got a room and you got food and you got hot drink, and in some cases, you could even clean up, you know.
And I imagine there were some that were better than others and that sort of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Fudge.
So, Sorry. So she got arrested for drunkenness on the high street, which is in England. A high street is like where all of the shops are. It's like the shopping street, like an outdoor mall almost,
Right. Okay.
like the town center.
Like it would be the equivalent maybe of a farmer's market today.
Yeah, sort of. Like Water Street down in Henderson, where there's like it's all the businesses are on one street.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
So basically going to an important area of town where there's a lot of people making a jackass out of yourself.
Right. So she was in Aldgate on the high street, and she got arrested for being drunk. She gets taken to the police station where she's locked in a cell. Then she went to sleep. They awoke her sometime around midnight, deemed her sober enough to let her, to go see the judge. Before she left, she told him her name was Mary Ann Kelly and gave him an address. They took her to the door of the police station, told her to close it on her way out, and she headed out into the early morning. At about 1:30 in the morning, 3 men reported having seen her talking with another man at the church passage entrance into Mitre Square. Mitre Square is exactly that. It is a square, and there's a church on one side, and so it's like almost like a park, but not a park. It's like the forecourt of the church. So at this point, it's about somewhere close to 2 o'clock in the morning. The police officer was walking his beat. Back then, they actually walked a beat. They had a path they followed, and he was walking it. And he found her body in the south corner of Mitre Square. Her throat had been cut, and she was disemboweled. But he had also targeted her face. This is the victim where he took the uterus and the kidney.
Okay.
So in a matter of 10 minutes, literally 10 to 15 minutes, between when she was seen by 3 different men who had been walking down the street, and they saw her talking to a man, and when the constable passed, 10 to 15 minutes later, he had slit her throat, disemboweled her, removed her kidney and her uterus, and mutilated her face.
That's a lot for 10 minutes. There's no way he got out of there not all bloody and gross.
Right. She was buried, again, in the City of London cemetery. Only this one, they didn't really keep it quiet. And there were a lot of people that showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Hundreds of people followed her casket to the cemetery from the mortuary.
So this sounds like it might be good as an aside. A blend of grape wine with honey.
Yeah, that actually does sound good.
Sorry. I had to share.
So now here's the thing. She was different. The other victims were buried in pine boxes. Her coffin was of polished elm with oak moldings and bore the plate with the inscription in gold letters, Catherine Eddowes, died September 30, 1888, age 43. They put a wreath on her coffin. They put her into a hearse. She had 4 sisters that were there. John Kelly, the man that she had lived with, he was there. They literally mourned her.
So she was well liked.
Yeah.
Despite her problems.
Yeah.
So these women were not pariahs in their time.
Yep. And the a vestryman, which is kind of like a minister,
yeah,
of the Church of England, he did the funeral at his own expense on land that he owned in the cemetery, and he did it without any fees.
Without what?
With no fees.
Oh.
She was very, very much liked and loved by her community.
Yeah. So I'm guessing when she wasn't drunk, she was a peach of a person, you know?
Yeah, she was a nice person. So now we come to the fifth conical victim. At this point, I'm going to tell you that this is going to be a little bit more graphic.
Well, that's the most brutal one. She's the one that was unrecognizable, right?
She's the one that was unrecognizable. Okay. So this could get a little.
If you're sensitive, this may be the time to take a break.
There is no record of any life of hers before she moved to the East End of London. She was very private and didn't tell a lot of people who she was or what she was or anything else. She called herself Mary Jane Kelly. What we do know is that she reported to have been born in Limerick, Ireland. Her dad's name was John Kelly, and she had like 6 or 7 brothers and 1 sister. That's what we do know. She moved to Wales when she was a young child. She was married. Her husband was killed in an explosion. And then she moved to Cardiff to live with a cousin who introduced her to prostitution. She, at one point, was a high-class prostitute in a brothel. At this point, she dressed well. She had a good place to live. She ate well. She would get picked up in a carriage and taken to her clients. She basically lived the life of a lady. She went to France. Yeah, she starts drinking.
I'm sensing a very common theme here.
Yeah.
But also, because she wasn't from the area, and she may have been seen as, putting on airs. I wonder if that's why she got the most brutal.
I don't know.
Well, I didn't say you did. I'm just floating it.
Yep.
I'm just thinking my thoughts out loud.
I need to get applesauce.
Okay. Okay. So you gonna go get applesauce? Okay. Huh?
Sorry. Back hurting.
Oh, okay. All right. So she was living with a man named Joseph Barnett or Bartlett or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a porter at the local fish market. and they were living together, renting a small room at 13 Miller's Court.
Okay. Now, we also think it could be that this was the most brutal one because she had a private room.
Right.
That's another thing that could be.
So people that knew her were very fond of her again. She was
well liked.
Yeah, apparently she was extremely intelligent, and she was an artist.
Well, it sounded like she may have had some education.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know why I didn't think of this before for the Foodatini for the small images. Ruler tearing. What a dork.
So they were together, her and this man Barnett or Bartlett or whatever his name was. He lost his job at the fish market. And so she went back to prostitution, which caused problems in their relationship. And they broke a window. And because, you know, she was prostituting and not necessarily drinking, she, you know, she fell behind on her rent. He left and she fell behind.
Because he was providing part of that income for the...
Yes. But she still stayed friends with him. They were still friends. They just couldn't live with each other anymore because
he couldn't deal with her prostituting.
Exactly.
That was the death knell on their relationship.
Right.
And that's not uncommon for men.
Yeah. So
okay.
She, again, was last seen by a person, someone that knew her, at about 2:00 in the morning. This guy observed somebody tap her on the shoulder, come up behind her, tap her on the shoulder. She turned around. He whispered something in her ear. She started laughing, and they walked away together.
So whoever he is, these women went willingly.
Yeah.
Okay.
This guy actually followed them because he was a little concerned about
because there had already
this guy.
been some murders.
He was a little concerned about the guy. He hadn't seen him around.
Okay.
So he
and
followed
there were
them.
murders happening.
And there were murders happening. So he followed them. They went down Dorset Street, turned into Miller's Court. He waited outside to see, you know, if the guy was going to leave. And after he'd been there for, you know, almost an hour, he figured the guy was spending the night and it was okay and he was leaving.
Oh.
So about 4:30 in the morning, somebody heard somebody screaming murder, but that would have been, you know, it could have been anything. It could have been a fight. It could have been, but it was so common in that period in that area that people didn't really respond to it. Yeah, my mom used to always say,
fire.
Yeah, if something happens, don't yell murder or rape or yell fire. Nobody wants to go to a rape. Everybody's going to go see a fire, you know?
People won't come for help or rape or anything or just general screaming.
So
they have proven that.
It was almost 11 o'clock when the landlord went. He sent one of his people to go knock on the door and go, hey,
Roseanne.
Hi, Roseanne. So, he went. Yeah, exactly, Adrian. Your husband hates it when you sell it for craft supplies. But he sent, one of his workers to go and knock on the door and see if she was in and get the money because she owed him money. And of course, I'm sure he would have taken anything and been happy rather than not have anybody at all,
Right.
So he went around, he knocked, and no reply. He tries to open it. He finds the door's locked. So he goes around to where the broken window is, and he reaches in, pushes the curtain out of the way, and looks into the room.
And he got a surprise.
He goes back to the shop on Dorset Street and tells his boss that he knocks on the door. Nobody answered. So when he looked through the window, all he saw was blood. So they go to Miller's Court into the back. He looks through the broken pane of glass. And his quote is, "The sight we saw cannot drive away from my mind. It looked more the work of the devil than of a man. I'd heard a great deal about the Whitechapel murders, but I declare to God, I had never expected to see such a sight as this. The whole scene is more than I can describe. I hope I may never see such a sight as this again." Now, that's the statement that he gave in the inquiry, because there was always an inquiry.
Right.
So a lot of people showed up, and back then they didn't have like process. People were walking around. They were stepping on evidence. So they had detectives, they had doctors. They're all in Miller's Court, but they delayed entering it because they wanted to wait for bloodhounds. And they were hoping that they could, because this was an enclosed area, that the bloodhounds might be able to pick up a scent and follow
it to wherever the person who did it went. Because they obviously left bloody,
Yeah. So they were trying to do that. The police finally decided that the dogs got there. And then the dogs were told to go away.
Why?
Because the higher ups didn't want them there.
Do you think they didn't want to find him?
They didn't feel that the dogs would be effective based on the amount of her blood that was in the room.
Oh.
But they could have traveled after her scent too.
Yeah.
So
I don't see the logic in it. I think they didn't want to find him.
Yeah. So they told the landlord, the guy that owned the building, to go ahead and open the room, which he had to use a pickaxe to get into it because the door was locked.
He didn't have his own key?
Nope.
I guess keys were probably more expensive back then, yeah.
Yeah. So the first officer that was there in the inquiry gave the following statement. On the bed was all that remained of the young woman. There was little left of her. Not much more of a skeleton. Her face was terribly scarred and mutilated. All this was horrifying enough, but the mental picture of that sight, which remains most vivid with me, is the poor woman's eyes. They were wide open and seemed to be staring straight at me with a look of terror.
Well, most of them would have never seen anything that brutal.
Yep. So multiple police, detectives, doctors, everybody went into this little room, which was a little room. It was maybe 100 square feet.
Was it like the size of maybe our bathroom, a little bit bigger?
Probably like the size of your bedroom.
Okay, and that's a lot of people to come in and out of a room this size.
One of the doctors who was there later told journalists I've seen a great deal in dissecting rooms, but have never witnessed such a horrible sight as that inside 13 Miller's Court. They spent a few hours carrying out all kinds of detailed inspections of the crime scene. A photographer was brought in. The body was photographed as it laid on the bed. That image still exists. You can see that image. There's not much to look at. It is black and white, and I warn you, if you go to look for it, it is disturbing. Again, they went to the mortuary. This time, though, and I need to be clear here. They did go to different mortuaries, but the ambulance always came from Whitechapel Workhouse. So whatever mortuary was closest got the bodies, but
they were the only ambulance service in town,
correct,
basically.
Correct.
Okay, for that area of town, maybe.
Right. So after the body was removed, the windows were boarded up, the door was padlocked, and that was it.
Well, they didn't process evidence the way they do now.
Right. And it wasn't cleaned in any way.
Shit.
But I will give you this. The difference with her and the others is they just put their bodies with maybe a tarp or something over them if they were lucky.
Yeah.
Mary Kelly, they put Mary Kelly into a box.
Well, they probably had to. Her remains were probably at least partially disjointed, you know?
Yeah. So they went ahead and they put her remains into a box, which they then put on the ambulance and took out of there. They, again, huge crowds of people showed up. People wanted to touch her coffin.
As like a morbid thing or as a sign of respect?
As a sign of respect. People were crying. People were angry. They had to try and keep the crowds back, and it was difficult. She was buried in a Roman Catholic cemetery. And they only allowed the official mourners to enter the cemetery. And again, the church paid for the burial. So those are the 5 conical victims. But
so by and large, these women were not considered the scum of the earth, or
no, they weren't. And that is a misconception that a lot of people have. Well, they were prostitutes and they got killed prostituting.
But I think that's more of a modern day kind of puritanical religious bent of.
Yeah. And you have to remember too, back then prostitution wasn't illegal.
Right.
It was an acceptable form of employment.
And it wasn't considered kind of the way it is now, or even, like 50 or 60 years ago.
Right. So,
oops.
So there are a few other victims. The first would have been Annie Millwood. She was in Whitechapel. She showed up at the Whitechapel Workhouse Infirmary.
Mm-hmm.
She had stab wounds on her legs and the lower part of her abdomen.
Oh, so maybe like a one of the first where there's always a progression with serial killers where they try it out and maybe they're not successful. Maybe somebody got away. So she could have been an early victim.
Right.
Now, when did this happen? How
This was in
ahead of
February. This was in February of 1888.
and when was the first accepted victim?
That would have been the very first one. She passed away in, I think it was, I want to say just days before.
So that could have been his trial run.
31st of August. And
So a few months. If that was February and the first one, the first
Yeah.
accepted one.
yeah. So, you gotta.
Nobody gets it right the first time,
Yep.
He would
Let
have
me let him out.
he would have possibly been more tentative.
Right. I mean, all serial killers do they do a trial run until they get it where they want.
Interesting. So, and then are the other ones after, or she's like the first possible victim?
Right. March 28th of 1888. Ada Wilson. She's a dressmaker. She was sitting in her room when there was a knock at her door.
Mm-hmm.
He described him. She wanted money. He took a knife and stabbed her twice in the throat.
Good night, Mari.
Night, Mari. Stabbed her twice in the throat. The neighbor heard the commotion, came down to investigate. The guy opened the door and ran out into the night.
Did she live or die?
She made a full recovery and told police what happened and even gave them a description of the would-be murderer.
Okay. So that's two that he didn't. So he's ramping up to if we want to accept these as killers, ripper victims.
Right. The next one is Emma Elizabeth Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Again, in Spitalfields, in that East End. She was considered an unfortunate.
Okay.
She seemed like she was fine. And, she when she left her lodging that night, according to Mary Russell, who was the matron of her boarding house, she was in good health. She seemed well.
Right.
She went to drink. Another lodger from the same boarding house saw her with a man wearing dark clothes.
Mm-hmm.
It was a rough night, according to her friend, because she was also attacked. She gets back at to the boarding house. Her face is bleeding. Her ear was cut, and she had some injuries on the lower part of her body. And again, so she goes to the hospital. She's seen by a doctor. The injuries, when he looked at them, were extremely horrific. The portion of her right ear, the peritoneum, and her internal organs had been ruptured. Some kind of blunt, sharp instrument being thrust into her with great force.
Oh dear. Oh, that's a pretty image.
And, you know, she died from those wounds.
Okay. So first person dead but she got to the hospital alive.
Yes. So that's, you know,
Ooh.
that's like, you know, the three biggest of the previous ones. There's a couple others. One, I won't even bring it in. As far as I'm concerned, it's not even,
Okay.
you know.
So there are three precursors. So with that third one, that's where he started to perfect his method.
Right. Now, there's another one that's always been questionable, and that's Martha Tabram.
Mm-hmm.
Again, she was an unfortunate.
Okay.
She was living with a man. Her husband left her. So she had gotten a little bit of money from him.
Okay.
She met a guy named William Turner. And when she did that, the ex-husband said, no, he's not paying her anything. She lived with him. And that's the thing. They think that, you know, he may have been the one. That she may have kicked it off. I think he killed her.
The husband?
I think her husband killed her.
Okay, but not related to the Rippers?
I don't think it's related to the Ripper, but she, you know, she is clumped in there.
Well, but it's possible that, you know, it's not like people gossiped. It was like, you know, wildfire.
Right.
But there was probably some word about this guy who was, you know, some wounds in the nether regions, that sort of thing. It's possible that he just picked up on something so that he wouldn't look guilty.
Right.
Like it could be associated some other way.
So here's the opinion of the doctor.
Okay.
The attack on Martha Tabram had been a frenzied one. 39 stab wounds peppered her body from her throat to her lower abdomen. There were 2 different blades used.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the wounds by an ordinary pocket knife, while a deep wound on the breast had been dealt by some long, strong instrument, which could have been a sword, bayonet, or dagger.
Okay. And
He also believed that no recent intercourse had occurred, thus ruling out rape as a motive.
Okay.
And she was found, you know, laying in an alleyway on the ground. Again, her body was photographed at the mortuary. And that was to try and, you know, identify her body. And then they tried to identify the last people she was seen with. They have an inquest. And then they adjourned the inquest. with no real definitive. But again, I think that she was probably murdered because every time she saw her ex-husband, she would go after him, for money.
Yeah.
And I think he just did it.
You think he got fed up and just offed her?
Yeah.
You think the first one, her husband killed her too? I don't think so. I think the first one was the precursor. I think he was trying it on.
So we have, it's a debate whether or not she was one of the victims. It's believed that she was, but, it could have been that she wasn't. But, there's a lot of them, a lot of different ones. And there's more. I mean, there's Frances Cole. There's so many different victims that could have been contributed, accredited to murder. Hey, my screen just went blank. Hold on.
Whoops.
Oh, there we go. It's coming back. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not.
What are you sure of out there?
Not a damn thing. All right, we're back. All right, so that's it. That's
We're not doing theories yet, Michelle. We're
so
just
those are the victims. Next week, we're going to talk about some of the suspects. Not all of them, because some of them are damn stupid.
She's just going to cover the main ones that seem legitimate. That could be actual players.
And in the end, I'm going to tell you who I believe did it. And he's not on anybody's radar. So that's it. Those are our 5 conical victims, plus, a couple that were precursored. Of the 7 or so that were precursored, we covered a few of those. And that's really the other ones, even I don't believe had much to do with it. But I do believe that there were more than 5 victims. Nobody hits the ground running like that.
And leaving out the woman who was, found in the alley, because I agree. I think that's the husband. I think those first 3 were trial. He was perfecting his thing.
Yeah.
I think that's a thing.
I think it's pretty safe to say that the first one, where he left her alive, but he mutilated the crap out of her.
Yeah.
I would say that was probably him.
That's probably when it dulled for him.
Yeah, he's trying to perfect his weapon. Well,
but the other 2 that he didn't kill, definitely, they had injuries to their crotch area and lower leg and upper thighs.
Right,
and stuff.
right.
He was trying to get there. He just hadn't perfected the way to do it yet.
Right.
So I think we're seeing the evolution of this killer.
We are seeing the evolution of a serial killer. Absolutely.
Which is interesting because I've never seen it presented sort of that way. that was an interesting way to start because it does clarify some of that, you know?
Yep. So that's it for today. It's 8 o'clock. We've been on for over 2 hours.
Well, it was necessary for this, and I processed all but 3 pieces of those 3 magazines, so.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Chris. Just in time for us to sign out. I'm sorry. But look, guys, we got, let me get them all up here in one pile. We got a pretty good stash of,
Adria,
check it out. Not too shabby.
Adria, did you learn anything you didn't find out before?
Did you learn anything contrary that you want to share with us? Like, this is an exchange of information. It's not my way or the highway, you know?
Night, Christine.
Good night, Christine. Thanks for coming and spending some time with us. Always fun.
So you found a lot of contrary information. You're going to find a lot of contrary information.
Yeah. Because everybody's presenting the documentaries based on their pet theories about who the Ripper is and who the victims are. Some people won't even agree that other than those canonical 5.
Yeah, that's about the only thing they all agree on.
And a basic timeline.
Well, the dates, you know, you can't fudge those.
Right. But again, you do have to look through this through the lens of this is Els is presenting her theory of who it is in the end. So she is picking her information. It is very logical, but you know, even she has her biases. So
not when it comes to the victims, though. When it comes to the victims, I'm going to give you all the information just as it is. What is from the police reports, not what comes in the news reports, and we'll talk about that too.
Well, yeah, because news was still not 100%. They were not reporting from a place of non-bias, non-partisan. And they were trying to sell newspapers, so it's always going to be more salacious probably than it needs to be.
Yeah.
Or was.
No, Amy does not know my theory.
Yes, I do.
Do you?
You've talked about it. I don't remember very much of it. I got to be honest with you. But we have discussed it before.
Oh, okay.
And I wouldn't tell you even if I knew, even if I remembered everything. That spoils the fun of the whole point of this is to look at all the aspects, and then she's going to pull out her ta-da, you know? It's a process. It's a process.
All right. That's it. That's all we got.
Yep, that is the end.
That is the end. We're out of here, ladies.
We will see you next Monday on my channel for another edition of What the Jack.
So thank you for coming and hanging out with us. We enjoy being here with you guys for Murder Monday. Even if we sometimes forget, we're sorry. We know we're bad.
Yeah, usually if I'm not on, it's because I forgot. That is a 100% legitimate thing with me. All right, that's all of it. I processed all of it, Carla. Look at me.
Yay!
And we got some fun stuff out of here. Some stuff for the serial killer. Just some stuff that's fun. I think we got some new victims in here. I got a little pile of tiny faces we can play with. We had a bear that was awesome. We got some food for the fooditini. I did that with the... And look, we got roller skating. There's a couple of roller skating pictures in here.
Cool.
So yay.
All right.
Yep,
So
that's
there's
next week.
yes, Carrie is alive. Hey, nobody wants to see that. So there is the link to Hag's channel. We're doing Hag's channel next week, and that's it. So if you're new here and you haven't done so already, hit the button for us and subscribe, like us, ring the bell, share me with all your friends. Do not bogart the beamer. We will be back next Monday night on Hag's channel, so grab that link so that you can get over there, and I will see all of you during one of our regularly scheduled days.
Wednesday.
Say bye-bye, Hag.
Bye-bye. Remember, ladies, I'm not coming on this week except for tonight and Friday. I will not be on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I am trying to process some stuff in the garage and get some things organized. So I will see you guys on Friday. Woohoo!
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for coming and spending time with us.